Hello, and thank you for watching a video on the critical analysis of issues surrounding sport and gender in the current society. Today we are assessing the issues surrounding the media coverage of South African runner Caster Semenya in the 2016 Olympics. Semenya won a gold medal in the women's 800-meter race in Rio. She was well ahead of the competition, leading to her victory. Media discredited her achievement by titling the achievement Intersex Athlete Wins Gold Medal in Women's 800 Meter. The controversy surrounding hyperandrogenism, a condition that naturally produces higher levels of testosterone in women, was highlighted despite the Court of Arbitration for Sport ruling that claimed that high testosterone levels didn't necessarily give female athletes an advantage. We will assess how this media coverage applies to Black feminism, intersectionality, and homophobia or lesbianism, along with connecting this situation to other similar situations that have occurred in sport history. In the article, Body Shaming Black Female Athletes is not just about race, Abdul Jabbar states that some of the body shaming of athletic Black women is definitely a racist rejection of Black women's bodies that don't conform to the traditional body shapes of white athletes and dancers. The reason this would be is because of the Western cultural ideal of beauty. The ideal mimics the idea of the loved childhood toy Barbie. This is an issue that is made regarding Black feminism. Black feminism is an issue regarding racism and sexism. The work that has been done for African American women in sports has been focused on the inequality of opportunity, access, and distribution of resources. Many sports organizations have anti-racism laws, but in Scranton's opinion, this has a marginal impact on African American men and women. Semenya was criticized by media for her physical features, and this transferred the attention from her amazing achievement to her sex. Similar cases have occurred in history. Like Semenya, Indian track runner Santhi Soungjarian experienced the same stipulation. She placed second in the 800-meter race at the 2006 Asia Games. She was forced to attend a medical evaluation because of suspicions regarding her sex. Therefore, it is implied that an achievement of this degree must suggest that she was not a woman. The test determined that she did not possess the sexual characteristics of a woman. She was stripped of her medals and forbidden from any further involvement in the future competitions. Her life was turned upside down. She attempted suicide by drinking a lethal dose of poison. Luckily, she was able to survive. Medical personnel have admitted that women can exhibit evidence of a Y chromosome. Thus, the dream of an athlete was completely broken, while the life of the athlete was almost lost due to the absence of medical knowledge. Lady athletes are forced to adhere to medical tests and evaluations if they portray signs that they could be a man. Thus, the tests have more to do with their gender than they do sex. They are based on gender norms and social expectations of the attributes of a woman. Media often highlights Semenya's muscular build and deep voice, her flat chest, and strong jawline, because these are deviances from how women should look and sound. There are claims that her sex was questioned based off of more than just her being good. It was an issue of racism and her lack of conforming to the Western ideal of a woman. This leads us to our question. Is it fair to require women to submit to testing when they withhold masculine attributes? And is it unfair to other athletes that are competing against them to potentially be competing against an athlete with a genetic advantage over them? Intersectionality can be an extension off of Black feminism. The concept of intersectionality represents the idea that the crossing of multiple forms of oppression regarding gender, race, and sexuality produces distinct sets of perspectives and consequences among individuals. For instance, being an African American woman athlete. This is multiple jeopardy in being of a different race and of an inferior sex, as seen in the sports industry. Female athletes who are African American face unique challenges that are different compared to male African American athletes and white female athletes. The dual discrimination from being a woman and being an African American led to a higher form of oppression than being amongst only one of the minorities. Semenya's gender made headlines over her achievement because she is a woman, an African American, and does not conform to the Western ideal of femininity. This leads us to our second question. Does the idea of multiple jeopardy or intersectionality enhance one's resources for coping with the stigma and leads to resilience, or does it cause more social stress that leads to the denial of social support? The concept of homophobia is present throughout Semenya's situation. Homophobia is characterized as the dislike or prejudice against homosexual people. Although we have made major strides against homophobia in society and sport, sport continues to lag behind greater society in this area. This is because there is a lack of homosexuality prevalent in the industry. The reason for this is because of fear of the scrutiny of media due to one's sexuality. This is extremely present for women in the sporting industry. Many of the women are silent when they are homosexual because it possesses some form of protection. Women want to gain social approval, especially because women already face an added level of criticism, being that they are in a male-dominated industry. The term lesbian has a negative stigma associated with it, and the term has been used for decades to discourage women from entering the industry. Women athletes are encouraged to wear dresses and makeup and act like ladies when they are away from the gym. When acts such as these are encouraged among the industry, it implies that any act other than those described above are against the norm. That leads to a woman being labeled a lesbian. For example, professional women golfers pose in pin-up style swimsuits to display their femininity. Women have fought to be accepted among the industry of the sports, and they allow the fear of the term lesbian to send them back to the roots of their stereotypical idea of femininity. They are objectifying their bodies to avoid being labeled lesbian. Griffin states in his article, "As women are afraid to be called lesbian, this label is an effective tool to control all women and limit the women's challenges to sexism. Therefore, the sport tends to lag behind the greater society in the area of homophobia because athletes are fearful of the scrutiny and media backlash that will appear if they act outside the given gender norms." Semenya's questioned about her sex. She is labeled intersex. This alludes that she is not the typical feminine heterosexual woman. When women are deviant from hegemonic femininity, which consists of the characteristics defined as womanly that guarantee the dominant position of men and the subordination of women, they are questioned about their heterosexuality. By questioning Semenya's sex, her sexual preferences are in question as well. This leads us to our final question. How do women become less fearful of the lesbian stigma through media while still expressing their true selves, whether that be that they are lesbian or not? As you ponder this, I would like to thank you for taking time to assess the issues that are present in today's society regarding sport and gender.